In this video, we're going to learn how to create date pickers using the jQuery UI. You're very likely familiar with date pickers. If you have booked a flight ticket recently, you would have used a website just like the Expedia website. And when you were choosing your departure date, for example, you'd have seen an input just like this one. When you clicked on it, you would have seen a calendar showing up where you just pick the dates rather than inputting the dates manually. So this is what we call a date picker. So in this session, we'll learn how to create date pickers just like this one, and also we'll cover a few options of the method used for date pickers. Okay, so let's go to our date picker file, and we're going to create a couple of inputs inside our first div, and we're going to put them inside a paragraph. So the first one is going to be flight departure date, and let's have an input in there and give it an ID. I'm going to call it departure, and let's have another paragraph with an input in it, and this one is going to be flight return dates, and the ID is return. Okay, so now we want to create a date picker for the first input and the second input. So the way to do that is by selecting the elements we are looking at, so we can use the ID. So if you look at the first one, it's going to be departure, and then we use the method date picker. Okay, and we can do the same thing for the return, just like that. So if we refresh, now we can see that we've got a date picker there, and same thing for the second input. And we can select a date, and we can see the value showing there. Okay, so now we're going to cover a few options of the method date picker. So first, let's create some animation. So the animation is going to show either when we open the date picker, or once we select a date, or we just close the calendar. So to use options, we're going to need curly brackets. So the first option is going to be show anim. So this option will create some animation, and we can pick up a few values there. So we can choose slide down, for example. So this one is going to add an effect. So once you select a date, you can see the effects there. Okay, so the calendar just slides down. Okay, we can choose other values, so we can have drop. You can see the effect there. Right, you can go for fade in, and you can see how it shows. Okay, all right, so that's regarding animations. Now let's say we want to select 2020. So rather than going all the way forward until 2020, there is a simple way to do that, is by having a drop down menu for the year. So the option to use for this is going to be change year, and we just need to set that to true. So if we do that now, we can select the year using a drop down menu. All right. All right. Now, if we go back to the Expedia website, you will notice that we've got a couple of months showing up in the date picker. But in our case, we only have 1 month. So let's say we want to do the same thing. We're going to have a couple of months there. We're going to use an option for this. It's number of months. And if we set that to 2, then we'll be able to see a couple of months in there. Okay. Okay, so for now, let's keep it 1 only. Okay. Now let's look at the dates formats. So if we select a date, at the moment we can see that we've got the month followed by the day and then the year, and we've got full year in there. So there is an option to choose the dates formats. So it's called date formats, pretty straightforward. And the default is month date, year. So when we use small characters, we're using digits to refer to each of the values. And when we're using a couple of characters for the month, then we show the month as 2 digits. Okay, let's make sure that we are still getting the same thing for this format. Fine. If we change this to only 1 letter rather than 2, so what's going to change is that if we select that one, we can see only 1 digit for the month. Okay, but we will see a couple of digits if we were in December, for example. Okay, but if we are in a month like September, we will see only 1 digit in there. And the same thing for the day. If we use only 1 D, then if we select a day like that, rather than 02, we'll see only 2 in there. Okay, and for the year, if we use only 1 character, same thing, we'll see a short year, so only 15 rather than 2015. Okay, so if we change the characters to capital characters, let's see what happens. Now you can see the name, a short name of the month, but if you use 2 characters, you will see the full month in there. All right, and the same thing for the day. If you use capital D, you will see something like this for Monday, and if you use 2 capital D's, then you will see the full word. Okay, all right, so let's go for another format. So we can go for D, capital M, comma, and then Y, and we show something like this. Okay, all right, we're gonna add a button just next to the inputs. I want to be able to click on the button to show the date picker rather than clicking on the inputs. So the option for that is show on, and we're going to set that to button. Okay, so you can see that now we've got a button there. We click on it, we'll see the date picker, we'll see the calendar. We can add an image to the button. So the option is button image. Okay, we just need to refer to the location of the image or a URL if we want to. I've already created a folder images, and I put a calendar there. So I'm just going to refer to the image using images / calendar.png. Now we can see the image there. If we want to show the image only, we need to use another option. It's button image only. It's pretty easy. And now we can see the image only there. Okay. All right. So when we hover on the image, so we can see some, so we don't have any text at the moment. We can change that. We only see these dots. So we can use another option to set some text there. So it's going to be button text, and we can set this to whatever you want. So for example, we can say choose your departure date. And now if we hover on the picture, we can see text that we said there. All right. Okay, just one more thing. We can set a minimum date that the user can select. There are several ways of doing that. So the option is going to be min date. And one way of setting that is just by using a number. So we can go for +1, for example. So this means that the minimum date is going to be today's date plus 1 day, and you can see that now you can see today's date is the 10th, and the earliest we can pick up is the 11th of March. And there is another option for the maximum dates. It's exactly the same thing, so max dates. So there is another way of setting the min or max dates. So for example, we can set this to plus 12 months plus 10 days. So which means that the maximum date is going to be today plus 12 months plus 10 days. Okay. And if we check that, we can see that the maximum date is going to be the 20th of March 2016. All right. One last thing, if the user selects a flight departure date, okay, for example, 5th of April 2015, you want the user to select a return date, which is the 5th of April at the earliest. So one way of doing that is by using another option. It's called onClose. But before we do that, we're going to need both dates to have the same format. So we're just going to copy this format into the return dates picker, and then we'll use an option inside the first one is going to be onClose. So once we pick up a date, we're gonna run this function, which will take a parameter selected date. Okay. Now we need to define what's happening inside the function. So we will select the return date using its ID, and then we will use the dates picker to set the option min date to the selected date. So we're gonna have three parameters there. So the first one is option. The second one is the option we are looking at, which is the min date. And the last one is the value to set the min date to, which is the selected date. Okay, so let's try this. So if we select 5th of April for the departure date, now we can see that the return date is starting from the 5th of April. Okay, we cannot select anything before. All right. Okay, so that's how dates pickers work. Just before we finish, we can add one last option. So sometimes you may want to show the week number in the calendar. Pretty easy. We're going to use the show week option, and we set that to true. Now we can see that we've got the week number showing in there. Okay. So in the next video, we'll look at the dialog widgets.